How's it going, B's, G's, and in-betweens? So, a couple of days ago, I fucked up. And the way that I fucked up was, I made a pretty bad video. And that video was talking about some different fixes that I'd found for some pretty glaring technical issues that I and a lot of other people were suffering from with Borderlands 3's PC port. Now, this video is intended to be a remake for that previous video, so I will be presenting almost the same information but in a far better way. When I was making that previous video, I was one, very tired, and two, was literally finding new and better ways to do those same fixes as I was recording it, and I was putting bits back in the middle, and I fucked up my recording, and it was just bad. So, with that in mind, in the background right now you'll be seeing some clips, and all of the gameplay footage in this video will be from previous clips, so this is not new footage. I am sorry for that. There is a reason for it, which I will get into in a moment. But you can see some of the issues I'm having, particularly in cutscenes and also during load zones and in gameplay in the background as I introduce you to this video. Now, the reason that that footage is all old is because almost 2 days ago now, I went to recreate that video again and basically do what I'm doing now. And literally between recording clips, I exited out of the game, went back into the game. I don't know if it updated or not, but it seemed like it must have, because when I went back into the game with all of those fixes turned off, it was fine. Everything was fine. So I thought, awesome, I don't have to make another video. They've patched it within a day and a half of release. Awesome job, no worries. Since then though, I've still been getting messages telling me that people have been suffering from the same issues and they're still trying to use my video and my Reddit post to fix those issues, and they were saying that the video is a bit hard to understand, which I completely understand. So I'm remaking this now, and the reason that the footage is all older footage is because I haven't been having this issue. With that in mind, the first fix that you guys should try is making sure that you're all online properly when you launch the game from the Epic Games launcher, and just see if there are any updates. Maybe verify game files. I don't really know how that works in the Epic Game launcher, but that should be your first step. Your second step should be, if you have a friend to play with who isn't having issues, have them host and join their game. That is the best way to play co-op. It completely fixes all the issues, but you will not be able to play solo if you're having those issues still. Hopefully a patch will come out that fixes this for everyone in the next few days, but until then, I've got two methods for you today that will help you fix your solo play for Borderlands 3. Let's get into it. Okay guys, let's get into the first method to fix your solo play for Borderlands 3. There might be some slight shifts in audio quality during this video, as some of this video will be live commed and some of it will be post commed. This part is live commed. This first method is by far the most effective to help fix the lag issues in Borderlands 3. However, it will require you to either sacrifice your internet connection while playing solo, or it will require possibly a decent amount of your time, up to half an hour, to actually get this fix to work and to test everything properly. Some parts of this will work for some people after the first step. Some parts will work after the last step. I'll let you know at each point where you should be testing to see if part of this has worked for you. Okay, so you can see here we're in the Epic Games launcher. The only reason I've come here is to show you that if I go to the bottom left, and I don't know why I've lost my mouse on my screen, if I go to the bottom left here, I am set to online, and if I click my friends, you can see here that my good buddy Ryan is also online and is currently playing Borderlands 3. The first thing that we want to do is launch the game. Now, I'll see you guys as soon as we get in. Here's a good point actually. Right here you'll see, I've had this come up a few times when launching the game. This is with like just the most default settings. I have heard a few other people have struggled to launch the game, so even though this isn't actually one of the things I was planning on talking about, I'll show you what I've been doing to deal with it, which is just going into your task manager with Control-Alt-Delete, or I've got mine pinned down the bottom because I use it all the time, and open up your Processes tab here, and there should be a Borderlands 3 process. If you click one and press B, it should scroll through until you get to Borderlands 3. and then just ending that process because for some reason it won't show up in your applications. So you just want to end the process here if it will let me, and it can be a bit finicky. There we go. So we go yes, end process. That kills it and brings us back to the Epic Games launcher. And now all you have to do is relaunch, and it should hopefully work. Again, if you're having different launch issues to this, then this won't work, but I know it's frustrating to have that come up and sit here for 10 minutes and have the game not actually launch, but what will happen is it will say running here and it won't let you launch another instance of the game. So I know that's a pretty basic thing for most people, but if you are new to PC gaming, just ending the process will kill it dead straight away, and then you can relaunch and hopefully get into the game. So, here we finally are in Borderlands 3, and the reason that you'll need to open up the game before starting to do method 1 here is because this method involves taking your computer or the game offline, and because modern gaming is an absolute shit show, DRM will not allow you to open the game up when the Epic Games launcher is offline or when your computer is offline. The other reason I wanted to come into the game first is just to quickly show you guys that yes, I am still online and my buddy Ryan has gone up a level, so good on him. And also just to quickly show you guys my graphics options. So you'll see here in the advanced tab, just for reference, I am on high overall quality. I do still get load zone lag and some scope lag and stuttering at the very start of some fights, not all fights. They only last for a few seconds, so even though the game has been made playable for me, I am still having some issues. But it's not nearly as bad as it was. The other thing I want to quickly show you guys is that I have my frame rate limit here set to smooth 22 to 62. I had this previously set at a capped 60 FPS, but I found that when you do lose frames, which just seems to be an unfortunate inevitability with Borderlands 3 on PC at the moment, having it set to smooth 22 to 62 helps smooth out those moments where you lose frames, so you won't be compromising on your gameplay unless you go below 30 frames or so. I've just found that helps a little bit, so it might be something to consider doing yourself. So, welcome back to my messy desktop. I'm sure somebody is laughing at it, but if you're still here, you're having probably a pretty frustrating time with the game, so it seems more than fair. Now, just for a quick reference, if I click on my clock down here, you can see that this third clock I have here is in GMT, and it is currently Monday, 16th of September, and it is just coming up on noon GMT. If any fixes come out after this point, then I'm not aware of them. So, right next to that clock, we are going to click here on Show Hidden Items in the bottom right hand corner, and then we are going to go into the network, which is well, this could be, if you're connected to a wireless network, it will show the bars. If you are directly connected to a network, it will show the little computer screen. You can see here, I'm directly connected to my iPhone. Now, this method will be pretty much exactly the same if you are connected to a router. However, the first thing that you need to do is make sure that you're not connected to any wireless networks. These are all of my neighbors' networks. However, if you are connected to a wireless network, or if you only use wireless internet, all you need to do is click on the network that you're connected to, and this connect button will be replaced with a disconnect button for you. Just disconnect your internet. That's pretty much the first step. If you're connected via a tether or via an Ethernet cable to your router, just unplug it. This is step one for everybody, because if this works for you, then the following steps to actually only take the game offline will most likely work for you as well. If you're happy to just do this every time that you want to play Borderlands 3 solo, then that's completely acceptable as well, and this should work for you. If it works the first time, it will work every subsequent time in my experience. If this did also work for you, however, you want to go tab out to check your Facebook or listen to Spotify or anything like that, then just give me about 20 minutes now and we'll solve those problems for you, hopefully permanently. Let's get that done. So now that you've taken your PC offline, you should go into the game and test a few loading zones and maybe a couple of fights using preferably longer range scopes. Just try to do what you were having problems doing before and see if this has fixed it for you. Take a few minutes now because it will be worth it in the future just to make sure that this is really helping you. With that in mind, we're going to try to achieve those same results without taking our entire system offline by telling the game that it's offline using our Windows Firewall. You can see down in my taskbar now that I still have Borderlands 3 open, and I'm going to show you the way that we take the game offline right now. So the first thing that you need to do is to open up your start menu. Keep in mind that I'm currently on Windows 7, and I know that this works exactly the same way for Windows 10 and probably Windows 8 as well. And we're going to go into our control panel. If you are on a Mac or a Linux, then I don't know how to help you, but if you have found any fixes, please post them in the comments section because I'm sure someone else will be in your boat. Once we get to the control panel, we're going to go into Windows Firewall. And in Windows Firewall, in this left-hand column, you'll find Advanced Settings. Click that, and bear in mind that you will need to be on an admin account on your PC to be able to do this. So make sure that you've done that before continuing. In the left-hand column of the window that pops up, we're going to go into Outbound Rules. You'll see here that I already have some outbound rules at the top here that I had set up in the previous video when showing how to do this. All I'm going to do is click on each of those and delete them so that we can set them up again right now. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to go to Outbound Rules up here and click New Rule. And in this window that pops up, you're going to select Program, and now we need to put in the program path. Keep in mind that this path will be slightly different for everyone, and you can see that it's already pretty much taken me right where I need to go, but I'll start again to show you guys. My game is installed on my E drive, and that install goes into the Games folder here. In the Games folder, we're going to click Borderlands 3, and then Borderlands 3 again, and the Borderlands 3 executable. This is where the executable will be located even if you installed the game somewhere else. You just need to go to the first directory on the drive and find the games folder that has been created for you. You might even have your own games folder like I did, which is called exactly the same thing, but try not to get confused. If you follow this exact pathway, you should be able to find it quite easily. This is the executable here, so we're going to open that. And you'll see that it goes into this box here, and we just click Next, and we want to block the connection. So Next. We want to tick all of these, click Next, and here's where you get to name it something funny, but I've already used up all of my creativity, so I'm just going to call it Borderlands 3, Block 1, and Finish. That's the first block done. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is go back into Advanced Settings, which will open a new window, and you can see here this will open new windows. Just click off this one and we'll go again from the start just to make sure that you guys have the exact methodology down. Outbound rules again, and new rule again, program. This should all be pretty much set up exactly as it was before, and again we're going to browse. Now when it takes you in this time, stay in exactly the same spot. You don't need to go back to the start of the directory, but this time we're going to go into Oak Game, and then binaries, and Windows 64, and you'll find that there's another Borderlands 3 executable here. We're just going to open that the same as we did the last one, click Next, block it again, all three are next, and we get to name this Borderlands 3 Block 2. If we click on this window again, you'll see that our blocks are at the top here and they are currently enabled. If you'd like to toggle these on and off, for example if you would like to go online to play with friends, all you need to do is come back to this same window here under your Windows Firewall, click on the rule in the central column and click Disable, and do the same for any other rules that you have set up. This means that the game is now back online. We are also going to set up inbound rules in a moment, however you should have a quick check on your game now and check your friends list or your matchmaking or the shift area to see if this has successfully taken the game offline for you, and if it has taken the game offline, go in and test a couple of firefights and see if this helps. This is step one, where this exact fix right now has worked for some people but hasn't worked for other people. If this hasn't worked for you yet, don't worry, because what we're about to do may work for you. If this hasn't worked, the next thing that we're going to do is to go into our inbound rules in the left hand column, And again, you'll see here that I already have rules set up, however they're not at the top, but I'm going to do exactly the same thing and delete those blocking rules. This here is an allowance rule which has been made by your PC. I've disabled it, but you can actually, in my experience, have that enabled. However, if this doesn't work for you, then maybe disable these as well. This is only for private networks though. But it's just there to have a look at if you are still struggling. Now, we're going to go into new rule again. Again, we want program. And again, we want to go to the same directory. Here, this may take you straight back to the second Borderlands 3 one, which is completely fine to do this in opposite order, but for the sake of showing you guys the path again, I'm just going to go back to the original Borderlands 3 executable, the first one that we blocked on outbound. Open, next, we want to block the connection. You can see here, just be careful because it did default me to allow the connection. So we want to block the connection, tick all three in next, name this BL3 block 3, or if you prefer to keep it tight, inbound block inbound 1. Back to the window again, and again we want to go to new rule, which I have lost my mouse cursor because of my recording software, so bear with me. We want program, and again we want to browse. Yes, thank you. Okay, so I've got my mouse cursor back, so we're going to browse, and again into Oak Game, binaries, Windows 64, and Borderlands 3 executable. Open, next, block the connection again, and again you see it's defaulted me to allow, so just block it again. Click OK on all three, and BL3 block inbound 2. Finish. Now back here, you'll see that our blocks are successfully set up here, and if we go to outbound, we have the same block set here. Now again, you should test the game at this point, see if you're offline, and if you are successfully offline, go into the game, test a few firefights, test a loading area, and just see if this has helped you. At this point, this seems to have worked for most people. However, personally, this didn't work for me. I'm going to now show you what I did to get this to work for me by building another block on top of these blocks here. So we're going to go back to outbound, and we're going to click new rule, program again, and this time when we go into browse, we're going to go all the way back to our install drive, and this install drive, I want you to go to wherever you installed the Epic Games launcher. So, do the same thing, go to your C or your E or whatever drive where you've installed the launcher, go to the games folder. And here you'll see I have Epic Games under E, and that's where I'm going to go. And I'm going to go into launcher. Now here, there's a few that we need to go through, so we're going to go Portal, Binaries, Windows 64, and the Epic Games launcher. Click OK, or Open, and then click Next. We want to block the connection as usual, and all three in Next, and call it EGL block outbound. Done. So, back to the same window once again, and we're going to do exactly the same thing, but with our inbound rules. Click new rule. We do want program. I'm losing my mouse again. We want browse. And it should take you back to the same directory, but you can see here, or you should have it pretty much down by now how to get there. Click on the Epic Games launcher and select open. Yep, we are okay with that. So select next. We want to block the connection. Inbound seems to want to default me to allow the connection, so just be careful. Block the connection. And we'll call this one EGL inbound block. And finish. So if we go back to the window, you'll see here we have our EGL inbound block, and that is currently turned on. Now again, if you'd like to go online, all you need to do, and you may need to restart the game after doing this as well, but you should come back to here and each of the rules that you've made, and I know it's a pain in the ass because it's currently 6 rules, but all you need to do is click on each one and click disable rule. Make sure that all the rules are disabled and this should bring you back online. However, as you'll see currently, if I go to my Epic Games launcher and just give it a second to load, something went wrong, try again, sign in. So you can see here it's offline and it's signed me out. However, Borderlands 3 is still open. You'll also see here, if I go back down to my network connections, that I am currently still connected to the internet via my iPhone. I did plug this back in before I set up those blockers, so I'm currently offline entirely because of the blockers, and you can see here Epic Games is telling me to check my internet connection. So here we are back in game, and I just wanted to triple confirm for you guys that I am currently still offline. Now, you can see here that Ryan the Smuzz is appearing offline. My computer is still online, as I showed you. He is currently playing online with his mates. He's confirmed that to me just a few moments ago, that he's currently online playing. So this offline is completely because of those blocks that we've set up. At this point, this is the end of the method, and you should go back in game and just cross your fingers that this has worked for you, because this is what it took to get this to work for me, was blocking all 3 of those things. So go in game, get a long range scope out and do your final few minutes of testing. Hopefully though this has worked for you. If this hasn't worked, I do have another method coming up which is far less complicated, thankfully, but also far less effective. However, it won't require you to go offline, and hopefully will make the game at least playable for you, even though it won't fix those issues completely. So let's get into that second method right now. So here we are for hopefully the final time back in Borderlands 3 for the final method that I have for you guys today. If I go back into my social again, I've turned off all of my blockers, and you'll see here that Ryan the Smuzz is back online. The reason he isn't blue is because he isn't currently in game where I can join him, but it is showing him as online just under his name there. So I'm going to jump into my Mo's character now and show you guys the final method. Just bear in mind that if this doesn't work for you, I will mention a few alternative methods very quickly at the end of the video that have worked for other people. However, I have not been able to test these myself. If you are interested in joining the discussion to either help others or suggest what you think might be causing the problem, or just to let me know that, hey, this did or didn't work for you, I do have a Reddit post that I will link in the description, and there are some people on there as well who will have some suggestions that may help you. Now, you'll see here, this is just as I loaded in. There was a little bit of loading in lag, but nothing too bad. And, like I said, as things start to spawn, I do get some issues. Part of this will be because I'm recording, but after a few zoom-ins, there we go. The game is pretty much playable. Now, this is after the fix and everything, so this is pretty much as good as it's got for me. Now, if I hit escape, what this final fix is you just need to be in game. You can be completely online, as I said, go into your options, your visuals, and your advanced graphics tab. Now here, as I showed you guys before, that little clip there was currently being played on all high overall quality. What I'm going to do is go down to very low, and you'll see here as well that there was a little bit of menu lag. That's just again a problem with the game, and if you're experiencing this problem, you've for sure experienced that as well. Now that I'm set to very low, we won't be staying here. What I'm going to do is go down to each individual setting and set it back up to where it was. So let's just go to high texture streaming. Let's put everything to a decent level. I probably won't go to the highest on most of them, but just back to roughly where they were on high / where I think my computer can handle. And that is one of the cons of this method, is that if you're not too sure what your computer system can handle, then you will need to dial this in. But you can see here, this is borderline where the high default was. And that's pretty much the fix. So if you go back out, yes, there is a little bit of lag for the first few moments. Part of that, again, is from the recording software. A little bit of stutter. A lot of stutter. There we go. So you'll see there, it was stuttering when I zoomed in for the first 2 times, and when I came back in, it is absolutely fine. Now with a longer range scope I might get it a little bit more because it's zooming into a longer distance. So 1, 2, oh, it's not liking it so far, and 3, and we're good. Completely good. So this is pretty common with this method, is that in most firefights the first 2 to 3 times that you scope in will still be pretty damn bad, but after that it should be fine. And again, that method is just changing your graphics down to very low and then raising everything up individually but leaving the overall on very low. I don't know why this works, nobody knows why this works, it doesn't make any technical sense to my limited knowledge. It's fucking batshit, and also I don't know why it only works after you zoom in 3 times, but it does. If the previous method did not work for you but you still just want to play some solo Borderlands, this method works. I would only recommend it though. If the other method does work, I would only recommend doing this if for whatever reason you want to stay online. Maybe you just want to play an hour before your friends get online. It's absolutely perfect for that. Shorter sessions, it's perfect for that, but there are still some frustrating things with this method. I will say though, this method is pretty much how I leave my graphics all the time, even though the game has got a lot better for me. Even when I play co-op, I leave my graphics like this, because it definitely doesn't hurt the game, and it's probably helping it in some capacity. So, those are the 2 methods for solo play that I have for you guys today. Thank you very much for watching. I will quickly go over a few alternate methods very, very quickly right after this, but for me, for now, this is pretty much me signing out. I hope these worked for you. Please check the Reddit post if they didn't, or if this video was hard for you to understand, as I've typed out everything I talked about in this video in a clear and concise manner on that Reddit post. Have a good one, and I hope you guys can all enjoy Borderlands 3. Hey guys, it's Post Come Down. I'm just going to let a little bit of footage play out in the background for a couple of minutes, so disregard this if you've already got the game working for you. I'd just like to quickly mention a couple of alternate methods that have been mentioned by more than a few people on Reddit or on my YouTube comments. However, I haven't been able to test these myself, although most of them come from people that I trust because they helped me work on the original method shown in this video. Method number 1 is to just delete your entire friends list off of Epic Games. For some reason that seems to work. It seems to have something to do with how the game sends out packets to send data to your friends or whatever about what you're doing. Some people have also reported that reinstalling the Epic launcher has helped them. I did actually test this one and this didn't work for me, however it might be worth a go. The last method is somebody or a few people have mentioned that joining a friend in the same area of the game and then disconnecting from that session with your friend has, for whatever reason, helped. That seems to be related to why, whatever the reason is, that the co-op method works. So that could be worth a test as well. Some people have reported that afterwards they can keep going through the game without any issues. Other people have reported that they need to go back into a new area with a friend and then come back. And finally, just to end off this little postscript section, I'd like to do a few thank yous and acknowledgements. Firstly, I'd like to thank Master Wanky, who came up with the co-op method through one of their posts on Reddit. Thank you very much, Master Wanky. Secondly, I'd like to thank Halamakoko, who came up with the weird settings method, or also known as the second method shown in this video, which involves setting your settings to very low and raising everything individually. Thank you, Halamakoko. I still have no idea how you found that, but awesome job. Thirdly, I'd like to thank Nightly Knight, who came up with the major method in this video, the first method, which involves taking either your game or your computer offline. Nightly Knight has also been very good about getting back to other people in the community on Reddit, going way above and beyond trying to help others, so thank you very much, Nightly Knight. They should also be credited with the method involving deleting your friends list, so awesome. I love having you as part of the community. Lastly, I'd like to thank all of you guys who have watched my Borderlands 3 videos. At the last time I checked, those first 2 had nearly 800 views each, which for a channel of my size is insane. Like really insane. So thank you very much for that, firstly. A lot of you also commented to try and help other people or just talk about your frustrations, but you're all super respectful to each other, which I fucking love, so thank you very much for that. and a couple of you even subscribed. I have a feeling that those subs might just be because I made the effort, which I still really appreciate, so thank you very much. If you look at my channel timeline though, I don't really upload regularly, so I don't know if you'd like to unsub. I do have plans in the gaming sphere, although I will tell you now it won't be Borderlands 3 related. So if you'd like to unsub for that, I completely understand, but thank you very much for doing so in the first place. The amount of views I've got is way more than my channel has ever had, considering it started off as just me not having anywhere to rant about my frustrations with Borderlands 3. So, thank you very much. You guys have made a very frustrating few days for me, actually worth something, so thank you so much, and I hope you all have a good one. Bye-bye.